My fourth place is on the edge of something really special. They're the most raw of our finalists, but they've got one heck of a high ceiling. And one thing I'm really pleased about seeing is how this competition's helped them unlock so many things that's going to be useful for them. Power, controlled breakup, and then starting to turn in entries that are more consistently note for note perfect as well, which is something that they were struggling with at the beginning. All I know is that I'm not disappointed that we made an exception this season and we got to hear something different. I feel like if this competition started at the level they've reached now, we'd be talking about someone in a much higher position, but that doesn't take away from who is, in my opinion, the most improved throughout this competition. And my fourth place goes to Angelina.
Alrighty, and who gets to vote second?
Let's go for Petri, since you've taken the last and the first.
Okie dokie. So, I actually agree with a lot of that, Mark. You kinda took my notes from me. So yeah, my fourth place also goes to Angelina. I think she is the most improved in this competition though, like Mark said. She has shown more and more dynamics and range the further into the competition we went. There's not much to complain about, but with time, there's obviously going to be more polishing of her voice to really be able to do those edgy belts. The other three are slightly more developed at this point, and she also has some more pitch issues throughout her body work that the others don't necessarily have as much. And I also think the sustain is kind of missing, but she's only 14 and she's competing against adults. She has really held her own in this competition and she should be so proud of that. She is though not super unique at this point, so I think she needs to find her ID to really make her stand out, because it is a very tough industry. Okay, and now I'm gonna choose Andrea.
Oh, how predictable. Okay, well, my fourth place is going to be somebody I think has grown so much throughout the competition. A very beautiful voice and somebody that I think is going to go very far. And I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and say that it is going to be a clean sweep. My vote is going to be Angelina. This was a really hard choice because we have 4 absolutely fantastic voices. It was a real struggle. I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It was hard for me to come up with who I wanted where. And for me to struggle that much shows just how much I believe in every single one of the finalists. Just the fact that we had 4 finalists instead of 3 showed just how much we believe in all 4 finalists. Yeah. I think that this should be a starting point for you, Angelina. This is not an ending point. This is a starting point. And I think you should be very, very, very proud of yourself, because this is just, you have a beautiful voice. And I think that with a little more work, you could go so far.
Totally. Okay, whew. Fourth place was not as contentious as I thought it would be. Remains to see if that continues or not. Probably not.
Probably not.
No.
It never does.
So Andrea, who is the next person to vote on third place?
You know what? I will go with you because I am nice.
Okay. Believe it or not, I actually struggled with my third and fourth place because they were basically tied to me. But that said, my third place goes to Maeve. There has been this production issue throughout the competition, but through many discussions, I ended up having to eat the humble pie when it comes to her and realize that she is just an extremely talented girl. I'm not always right, and I accept that. So I did actually adjust my raw average score for her. That was a 7.7 to be tied with Angelina instead, because the scores do not show the full story. However, at the same time, mixing is a choice. She could have mixed differently for a singing competition to not give us those questions, and I'm always judging based on what I hear in the round. However, this all convinced me that we need a rule change next time, that the contestants need to show raw stems if they are overproduced, so that we can make a better decision based on the vocals. I did bump her 1 place above what the scores told me I should vote, due to being a more unique artist and those whistle notes that are important to me. So I think both Angelina and Maeve are artists already, but Maeve is already there, so that's why she gets my third place. You're gonna see how close my scoring was.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okie dokie, next person then. Let's go Mark.
Okay, so the contention begins, and it happens in third place. So,
I know
admittedly, I've slept on my third place at times during this competition, and it's only going back over the body of work I've realised their technical prowess, which I've maybe not highlighted that much and downplayed in favour of wanting more performance skills and leaning more on the delivering of the cover side of things. And it may also have been that I've been a little down on them in a deliberate attempt to play devil's advocate to the other two, who have been big fans throughout the competition. But I've got to admit, this is someone that has truly won me over the last couple of rounds. The thing that's lacking for me compared to my top two is they maybe lack a sense of identity as a performer at the moment. They can deliver strong, solid covers and sprinkle in something to elevate it too, but I'd kind of struggle to pick their voice out of a crowd at the moment for now. They've shown that they understand how to build an emotional connection with a listener, but not as consistently as I would have liked for someone that I would see as a winner for this competition. This is like a Scott for me, someone that could come back to an All-Stars episode having tidied a few things up and then absolutely blow everyone out of the water and be beyond dangerous. It's not quite there yet, but it's very, very close. My third place goes to Mocha.
Biting my lips right now, or holding my tongue. Anyway.
Oh, God.
Andrew, you're up.
All right. This one really breaks my heart. It really does. I struggled with this one. For some reason, third place and third and second place killed me. I mean, trying to figure out those two spots because they were super close. Like, I mean, I had a hard time because they were literally like neck and neck. But for literally almost every single point by point reason that Mark just gave, so I'm not gonna re-debate it, my third place ended up going to Mocha.
What the actual fuck?
And we now know how Petri feels about that. Again, it broke my heart. It really did. I think Mocha, again, I literally came up with the exact same thing. In fact, I wrote it down in my notes. The same thing that Mark said is, I really want to see Mocha in the All-Stars. I think she needs to maybe grow a little bit in her identity as a singer. There's just some tweaking she needs, but I think she might be like the next All-Star, but I just don't think that she's quite there for this particular competition.
Like I said, we're saving the arguing until later.
I know you hate us right now, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, Andrea, you decide
right, so
who gets to vote on first place. No.
Second, you mean?
It's actually
second, you mean? Second, you mean?
Well, first and second are kind of tied together because if we vote second place, then we know who we voted first place. So we're going
so
first place now.
Do you want to know who's first place? Okay.
No, I'm going last on the first place.
Okay,
like
so I know you want to go last. Okay, so how about this? How about, since I've been going last literally every single time, I want to go first this time. And I will give my first place. I think that this is going to come as no surprise because body of work wise, as well as like when I compare the body of works between my second place and my current first place, as well as the last finale song, the finale song alone, like because I personally put more stock in the current song, and then I put a little bit of stock going back and looking at the finales, kind of like just like, okay, like, you know, I don't take that into as much consideration. I don't hold any bias. I don't hold anything against anybody when it comes to the body of work. I hold that into some merit, but not complete. But the finale song just blew me away when it came to Emma. And then I do look at her body of work, and there were some songs in there that were just like, you know, I could see where she is as an artist. I can see where my second place, obviously, you know, there's only two left. So obviously Maeve is my second place. I can see where Maeve is as an artist. And Emma is just, for me, Emma is my first place. I think both Maeve and I think both Emma, they were neck and neck. They're both amazing artists. I just think that Emma had an edge in this particular round with the entry. And I don't know, that she's just my first place. So congratulations to Emma, at least from me. I don't know where it's going to be when the other judges speak up, but she's my pick, so.
Okay, me to go?
Yeah.
You. Yep, I'm going to you because he wants to go last.
Okay. Well, this is sure getting interesting.
Oh, shite.
Usually when we get to this point, I find myself with a choice between a great singer and a great artist, and I tend to lean towards the latter when we have this situation. This time we've got two. So we've got the Princess Pop Star versus the Queen Slayer, whose voice sounds mature beyond her years. In Maeve, we've got someone who will, with no amount of effort, be swayed from her path, which, a fair amount of credit to that. And she's got more weapons in her arsenal than she knows what to do with. And behind all the sparkles and rainbows, there's this vitriolic edge that came out in her Halsey cover that is one of my favourites, or the favourite of everything that she's put out. And then in Emma, we've got someone who's constantly trying to push the envelope of finding different and unique ways to use her voice with the 8-part harmonies we tend to get in a lot of her later covers. Their two bodies of work tell completely different stories, both very capable as vocalists and as producers, both these guys doing their own production work. To me, it's clear where one of them has put their priority and their time, whether it be on the production side or the vocal side, and that factors in quite heavily for me in a singing competition. But there's one thing that I can't shake from my mind, and I accept that it technically wasn't perfect, and if it were me on production, I would have tackled some of the phrasing differently. I would have asked for some of the lines to be re-recorded, and I probably would have taken it a slightly different way as far as production goes. But for a contestant to take a song for one of my favourite artists of all time, completely change the delivery of it, and leave me at a point where I'm now unable to listen to the original because the energy of the original makes far less sense than the cover version, that's too much for me to ignore. So my first place goes to Emma.
Ooh, I'm so shocked. Yeah, I gotta say, Mark, you were so predictable, but Andrea, you were really not predictable this time, I gotta say. So my turn to vote then.
Yay! It's Petrie's turn.
Yeah. Okay, so for Emma, I love her resonant tone. It's a perfect country voice like the new Leanne Rimes or something. I can tell she has some form of training. Her entry Girl Crush grew on me actually. There were some minute issues in like low notes, but it still ended up being my favorite from that round. I still gave her a 9.5 for the country round, and I'm not taking away Maeve's 10, but my opinion may have been tainted by the fact that she ended up getting the top performance from you guys, because you guys clearly noticed something that I didn't, and that kind of opened me up to it. It's my most listened to entry from that round at this point. She has a super strong body of work, all of her entries are good, but the later entries are even better, so she has improved in this competition as well. From Mocha, she is this amazing mix between Taylor Swift and Avril Lavigne. She has the most versatility. She has shown pop, opera, J-rock, country, electropop and pop rock. She can be both dirty and clean. For belting high notes, I don't think that is a skill that you can just disregard as if it doesn't mean anything. I mean, just watch any talent show. That is what people do to impress. I mean, how many people do we get each season that can do that? Maybe 1 or 2 if we are lucky. That is not a common skill here, and that is also one of the few objective measurements we have for measuring talent. I mean, who can belt the highest? That may sound simplistic, but it's still true. And she's not just a belter. She has the emotion and the delicateness. The only thing working against her is, like you said, she is not a super unique artist like Maeve, for example. But to me, she has both the strongest body of work and the final score, so my first place goes to Mocha. And I really want to hear your response. Oops, no, not the body of work. Body of work is never a 10, that's impossible. So,
well, it's not impossible, it's just not probable.
You have to get a 10 in every single round for it to be a 10 in the body of work.
But it's not impossible. That's not impossible. It's improbable, but not impossible.
Alrighty, sure.
I mean, well, like, what if you're Mariah Carey? You're saying you wouldn't give Mariah Carey a solid 10 in her body of work?
Oh, true. I'm waiting for Mariah Carey to audition next season then. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I am pretty disappointed with your votes, but I did have back in my mind that there was a possibility that Emma could win, and in that case, I would be proud of her, and I could see that happening happening. But I do want to hear your responses to the argument that I just made. Why is high belting not important to you guys?
I mean, it's not that it's not important, but it's not the end all and be all. I mean, it's not gonna, I don't think that just because somebody can hit a note that supersedes like a high C or a high G or an F, that shouldn't win them a competition. That shouldn't be the end all and be all. I mean, Maeve can hit that too. Mariah Carey can hit that too. That doesn't mean that they deserve to win a competition.
But Maeve doesn't hit it like Mocha does.
But I mean, that's not the only thing to take into consideration.
No, it's not the only thing that's taken into consideration. But like I said, it is one of the few objective measurements that we have for music. And she has the emotion and the delicateness as well. And the versatility, the most versatility out of all of them. So she's
but
not
at the same
just
time,
a belter.
like, but look at the song that we released. Like, I love her voice. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely adore Mocha. I think she had a beautiful song. But like in this song today, in the song that I listened to, the one note that I said was, wow, she came in hot. And she got hotter and hotter. There were no soft moments. There were no delicate moments. It was just hot, 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 hot. I would have loved to have seen some like pullback and a little build up. It was like that Scott moment again. Remember Scott? Where I said it was like hot, 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 boom, boom. It's like give us some soft and then give us some growth and then like don't like give us power and then overpower. It was like there are other things besides, wow, look how high I can get. Yes, she can give us those notes, but there are other things that go into, you know, that we take into consideration.
Yeah, but there was dynamics in this though. I mean, maybe not the super soft like the piano dynamic, but there was the mezzo piano dynamic. And she had the strongest dynamic that Emma didn't have. And I think that is harder and it is more impressive that she can nail it with that technical prowess. So I'm not gonna agree with you there.
Objectively, I mean, I think I don't think I'd agree with that. I mean, I think Emma brought what I was looking for personally with the dynamics, the emotion, the softness, giving us a little growth with a little bit more of the power in growing a little bit stronger and then pulling it back, giving us a little bit more of the ethereal. Mocha has a beautiful voice and she's got versatility, but sometimes I feel she doesn't know where to go with it all the time. And I think that with a little bit of work and she comes back to an all-star round, she could show us that a little bit more.
No, I think she is ready.
You harp on those high notes and that is not the end all and be all of winning a competition. Like,
no,
yeah, it's great that you can hit a high note, but
it
like,
is a big part because not everyone can do that.
It's a consideration, but it's not the reason.
She is the only singer so far that I've heard that can actually
he's
pull
killing
off
me.
Avril
Help me
Lavigne.
here.
Yeah.
Mark, help me. Mark.
Okay.
Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my problem with this, okay, she can hit some certain notes that other people can't. My problem with Mocha is, even if she hits these notes, I probably don't care that much about it because the criteria for this competition, best singing performance and best cover. And a great place to start on this is dynamic. And the thing is, Petri, here's something that you can quantify. You showed us this because you've sent us screenshots of Mocha's vocal compared to, or her entry compared to Angelina's and Maeve's. And it just so happens that they all turn up in this final. You can put all the tracks side by side in a DAW and you can measure the difference between the loud and the soft in the waveform and you can see the dynamic right there.
Yeah,
and
but that only shows the dynamics as far as mixing goes because she can have softness that's just louder due to the compression.
Yeah, but we can see that, and not so much in some of the other rounds. In this entry in particular, I can hear or I can detect technically that she's trying to soften up and she's trying to push, but I can't hear that, so I can't judge on it. And it's the same problem we had with Nathan, and probably why he's not in the final is because he hasn't been able to show that. She's gone through 3 producers now, from what I can gather, maybe more, which suggests that it's probably a microphone thing, which is a little bit unlucky, but it's not something that we can go and say, oh, she might have a microphone problem. This is why she can't get into the final or win the thing or whatever. We can only go on what we hear. And I'm getting to a point with this dynamic thing. It's a technical thing, but it's also something that is a big problem for delivering a good cover. It's not impactful. It's not emotional if you haven't got the dynamic in there. And my consistent feedback from Mocha is that it hasn't been there. So if the dynamic isn't there, she can hit whatever note she wants. They're not necessarily going to pop out and be as front and center as you might want them to be. I'm not going to stand up and say, oh, that's incredible, she can hit that range, if it's buried inside a mix of everything something that is all sitting at the same level volume-wise. You know, if that's the case, then the individual notes and where they sit and what range they're in don't pop out in the way that they maybe should. From what we've seen in terms of just the entries that have been given, I think Maeve's shown us more range. I think Emma's showed us that she can use her voice more effectively. I think both of them are better at performing covers and making them their own. Whether we like the direction that those went in or not, it's been Mocha's stuck to the formula of the originals a lot more. She hasn't been all that adventurous as far as that front goes, and like my original comment stands is that she is close, but she's not quite there yet. The one time when she has stood out amongst the other two, or the other three, is in round one, when she delivered a technically flawless performance of one of Taylor Swift's most one-dimensional pop hits, when there was no scope to really add any dynamic to it, and a time when she could have pushed that over the line. So for me, it's a tough one. Like, being able to hit whatever notes, like, people have their ranges. Some of my favourite singers of all time don't belt at all. Like Lena Marlin or Karen Carpenter, they don't belt. They're just very good at using the tools they have. And by that token, I would rather reward someone that has limitations with their range and uses that super well than someone that just shows they have a range but then can't translate that as well into a performance. Because it's kind of a combination.
When can I respond?
Now.
Okay, my thing is she did show all of the different dynamics ranges in her last entry, her Judge's Choice entry. So I didn't miss that in her final song because I had already heard that she had the super soft notes as well. And to me, the final song should be like the quintessential Mocha performance, or whatever contestants you are. One thing is dynamic, but the other thing is range. And she has one of the widest ranges in this competition. And I think she does have a wider range than Emma, because I haven't heard those super low notes from Emma being pulled off well. Whereas in the group cover, Mocha showed us those low notes as well, and that emotion that you want. So to me, Mocha is the more well-rounded singer.
In terms of pitch, yeah, but Emma's mezzo-soprano. She's got a range that she can work in, and she's got areas where she's going to be super comfortable in. There's not much more that you can really say on that. They have a bigger vocal range. Great, that's one point. Vocal range for me doesn't constitute an incredible singing performance as such. It's just, this is what you have and you have to work with it. It doesn't constitute a great cover for me as such, because you've got a vocal range, you have to pick a song that fits in it, or you have to take it in a completely different direction, which is something that Maeve and Emma have showed that they can do. Mocha hasn't really broken away from the formula at any point. I don't see the point of being able to hit certain notes as really making someone excellent. Like, it's great, but the range is a tool, and you have to use that tool in the best possible way, and that is kind of the thing that carries you through.
Okay, but my thing is that belting does require training to be able to pull off well. I mean, to not strain your voice when you reach that high. And she has shown the most controlled belts with sustain. Aren't you the one who always talk about sustain and how important that is? So why did you disregard that when it comes to Mocha?
Because, okay, yeah, I do love sustain, but sustain usually comes in at a suitable point, and it tends to stand out. It will be a phrase that is extended and drawn out, and it will generally pop out of the overall performance. It's tough for Mocha to really pop out of these performances because the dynamic is missing. It's one thing, okay, you can sustain, which involves technique, it involves getting the air moving, but again, it's not necessarily a be-all and end-all for me. It's like, okay, I like that a lot. It's something that I particularly enjoy. But the times when sustain bothers me is when it should be there and it isn't, more than anything else. It's like, that should be drawn out and then it's cut off. And that suggests that someone doesn't have the technique to be able to move enough air to keep that note sustained as long as it needs to be. Or they're making a stylistic choice to take that out, which for me would be a wrong stylistic choice. I don't know, like sustain that's well used will stand out for me, and I will reward that with points, but it's not something that needs to be there to say, oh yeah, you're going to get a 9 or you're going to get a 10 or whatever. My criteria doesn't really work like that.
Yeah, my criteria for giving a 10 is belting with sustain. I mean, that is one of the biggest things I look for. And I have never said that that is the be and end all. So I don't know where you got that from, but that is a big factor, because because just look at any talent show, that is what people do. So why should Next Top Singer be different from, let's say, The Voice or something? Because those are the singers that usually win there. I mean, the singers that can belt the highest.
I guess it comes down to personal preference more than anything else. Personally, the voices that stand out the most to me in terms of what I like to listen to don't necessarily blow me away with power. They will find other ways around it, and I happen to enjoy softness and dynamic and sustain and like a real emotional connection more than I do someone that can go and smash a big high note. That's not going to make the hairs on my arm stand on end, like something that is soft and emotional and that I connect with.
I am really struggling with this decision because all of the things that you have said that Mocha is lacking, I have heard in her performances. Like the dynamic, maybe in not all of her performances, obviously, but she has shown it throughout her body of work.
Guys, like, here's the thing. I don't think we're saying that she's necessarily lacking. We're not saying that she doesn't have this. I just don't feel as strongly that she has. I personally think that Emma has got it just a little bit more. I feel that even Maeve has got it a little bit more, and I just think that Maeve falls back too much on her production, and if she would take away the production and rely more on herself, that she would have it a lot more. And I just think Mocha just needs, has it. I just think that they have it just a smidge of an edge. And if you look at the scores, we're not even saying that she is so far behind that this is just a clean sweep. I mean, this is not a clean sweep for any of these competitors. This was not a clean sweep or an easy decision to get rid of any of them. It was just, this was a tough decision. This is not saying that these are undeserving and that she is clearly out and that she shouldn't have even been in the top 4 at all. You're like acting as if we're saying that, oh, we don't think that she has any versatility. We don't think she has any...
You don't think she has dynamics, though. You have said that.
We never said... I none of it. Don't put words in my mouth. I did not say that she had no dynamics.
Mark
I have
said
never
that,
said she did not.
Oh yeah, I
don't
absolutely
think
did, but she's still in my top 3.
Well, I mean, I never said that she had no dynamics. I said that this time in this particular song, I went a little too hot.
I think that was more a mixing issue, though. I agree. It was a very loud mix, but I could still hear the dynamics in that.
That was not me. So don't put words in. Don't say that I said that. That
okay,
was Mark.
Sure.
So
I'm just lumping you guys together at this point because you are twins in this deliberation.
I believe she has dynamics. She is amazing and I love her. But when we have to come to a decision, I have to figure out who has got the edge, and she was slightly edged out. We cannot have 3 first place winners. Somebody is going to have to be disappointed. For me, it's going to have to be Emma at the top. And it's not a knock on Mocha's abilities. It's just that Emma has got that edge. And if Mocha does a little bit of extra work, come back in the All-Stars, prove us wrong, and take the top spot. That's all we're saying.
By the way, this is the first time that I voted last on the voting, and I still didn't get important votes. So,
and this is the first time that we have done this on my birthday, and both of them have chosen to piss me off on my birthday.
You're pissing me off. Anyway, I have one question to you guys.
Of course he does.
How is is Emma more versatile than Mocha, and why?
Who's going first on this one?
You can go first because I'm just about to slap him right now.
In my opinion, yes, she is. So while Mocha has shown maybe more in terms of what she's given us, the execution of that hasn't necessarily been where I wanted it to be. Comes into dynamic a little bit again. She's not the first contestant I've had this issue with over the course of this competition, including people that have gone quite far towards the end of it. Just because you can sing in this genre and that genre and that genre and whatever and be able to deliver a cover doesn't necessarily mean you understand the emotional delivery of it or what you're trying to get across. I don't think we really got that from Mocha at any point until we got to the judge's choice, when I was really worried about her song choice and I was really worried about the discussion we had on Discord, and then what she gave us was actually something that was really, really strong in terms of an emotional emotional connection, and that was the first time that I really felt it from her in the competition. Mocha can maybe do a little bit more with her vocal range and maybe try out different stuff, but again, I'm not coming into this saying, oh yeah, she's a Taylor Swift, because she's not trying to be Taylor Swift. She just knows the songs really well, so she can cover them well. She's not necessarily trying to be Avril Lavigne as such. She just went and picked that song to give us a ballad, and because it's someone that she likes and whatever. It comes down to identity more than anything else. I think with Mocha, she's just dropping in covers at the moment. With Emma, you could give her pretty much any song, any genre, and she will find a way to twist that to suit her. And this again comes down to what your definition of versatile is. I would maybe lean more towards someone that can use all the tools they have at their disposal and be clever with it, than someone that doesn't really think outside of the box. They just sing a cover, and because they've got a certain vocal range, they can make it fit to a lot of things.
Yeah, because my problem with this is that I think Emma has only done like 2 genres, pop and country. Or am I missing something? Because Mocha has done a lot of more genres. I get your point that you also need to execute it well, but I disagree on that point. I think she has executed it well, because she has my top body of work score as well. Yeah, but I guess at this point it's a agree to disagree thing.
Here, like this is my answer to your question is, when it comes to versatility, I think that they're both comparable. They're both versatile performers. I just think that when it comes to the vocals, when it comes to the performance, when it comes to the dynamics, at least like right now, when I re-looked at the body of work, when I looked at this final performance, my top 2 just edged her out slightly, just slightly. Like I said, this was a very hard decision for me. I really stressed over it. I don't think any of them would be here right now if they weren't deserving of being here. If we thought that she didn't have versatility, if we didn't think that she had some dynamics, if we didn't think that she had an amazing voice, she would not even be in the top 3, let alone the finalists. She would have been one of the ones that have been gone long ago. So obviously the fact that she's even here proves that we actually saw something in her that we love and that we believe in and that we think is deserving and that we know that is amazing. And just because she is not in our top spot does not mean that we disagree with you on everything, because I see your point, Petri. I mean, I literally see the points that you're making. I mean, I don't necessarily agree that with everything, because obviously she's not my number 1 spot, but it doesn't mean that I disagree with everything you're saying. I just think she's not like 100% where I think you're saying. I mean, where you are, I am like maybe 80% there. And I think if she could come 20% more, I would be there. If we have an All-Stars, I think that if she comes at 20% more for me, she could win an All-Stars. That's how much I am there with her. But I just think that for me, Emma's got that already, and that's where my mindset is. I'm not discrediting anybody right now in this competition just because they are where they are, because they made it this far. Because you're not a finalist because you're a schlub. You're a finalist because you're the best of the best in this competition. So, I mean, right now, we are arguing over the best of the best. So they should not be feeling bad about where they are in the placement as it is. So
Interesting that Maeve still had the highest body work score to you, even though you have also complained about the production.
Yeah, but the thing is, the one thing that I gave her the little boost with when it comes to the body of work, because she did take into consideration, the one thing that I will say about Maeve is, despite the fact that she built a hill that she was willing to die on, and I mean, this is a girl that was willing to fight for her right to auto-tune. I mean, she wanted to, I mean, oh my God, you would think that this was that you were taking away chocolate from me. I mean, I mean, if when you take away my chocolate, I get that cranky. But I mean, oh my God, just the thought of taking away her auto-tune was sending her into panic attacks. But the fact that she did it, the fact that she was willing to do it, I had to give her that extra, because it showed that she was willing to take what we told her into consideration and make that effort. And I have to give her mad props for that. And the fact that she showed those improvements to me and showed that she was willing to rely on her talents and not on the auto-tune. And that takes guts. I mean, that takes guts, because when you rely so much on production to do the work for you, and then to say, okay, know what? I hear what they're saying, and you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm just going to prove them. I'm going to prove them that I can do this. It takes guts. I mean, it takes balls. And you know what? I have to give her credit for that. And, you know, I was the hardest on her of everybody here. I was super hard on her because of that. And I wanted to tell her that, you know what? I appreciated that.
All right. And I see that your scores, Mark, don't also line up with your votes, but you already warned us about that.
Yeah, that was always going to happen. The biggest one that's going to stand out is Emma getting the third highest body of work score, but then winning overall. And I can clarify that one quite easily. She got 2 4s from me in the first couple of rounds, while Mocha in particular, I think she got a 7 and a 6.5 in the a cappella rounds just by delivering something that was technically more on point, which is something that Mocha's done very well. The reason that Emma finds herself in first place is the last 3 rounds, she's been my top performance based on giving me that emotional connection that I am looking for and delivering something that really hit the mark for me. And I'm sitting here, because I don't give 10s, like that's not my thing. And I'm sitting here listening to them trying to figure out ways where I can knock points off, and I couldn't out of 2 of the 3. I maybe scored a little higher on This Love than you guys did, maybe because I'm hearing something that, again, guys didn't in it. But with that, I had to take something off it because there were technical issues, which I can't disagree were in there, and things that I would have wanted to do differently. But yeah, that's the main reason that Emma is where she is. And she came from being someone that I couldn't really connect with whatsoever in the first 2 rounds. In the group round, again, I didn't really connect that much with her because she's got Nathan riffing all over the top of her, and even though she's doing some really solid harmony work, she's not exactly standing out compared to her partner in that situation. It's only when we get into those last 3 rounds when she is absolutely wiped the floor in terms of ticking all the boxes that I'm personally looking for. I guess for Maeve and Mocha and how those 2 shake out, Maeve gets second, Mocha gets third, so that adds up to how it would work out for me. And you know, for Maeve, I've been a big fan of hers throughout the competition, and we won't go into that big defense that I threw over the auto-tune issue. Again, we won't dig that back up again, but that's not something that's ever really been a big factor for me as far as Maeve goes. I've always been a big fan of what she does. I've enjoyed her vocally. I've really enjoyed what she's done in terms of her performances and the like. But from Maeve being probably in the first 3 rounds in particular really standing out to me as being a lead contender, Emma's kind of ripped that gauntlet away from her in the last 3. Not because Maeve's dropped off all that much, it's just that someone else has come in and given me exactly what I wanted 3 times over in the final 3 rounds.
All right, I have realized that this is a losing battle for me, but that said, I actually do love Emma as a winner. Just look at my body of work score. It was so close between Emma and Mocha, so yeah, I can definitely see her as the winner, even though I think Mocha edged her out in my opinion. But I do accept this decision in the end.
Really, everybody deserved it. I mean, every single one of them deserved to be in the finals. I mean, like I said, we are arguing over the best of the best. This is not like us arguing over who deserves to be kicked out. This is us arguing over who deserves to win. And this was so hard.
Yeah, exactly.
So hard.
I don't want to give off the impression that I think Emma is undeserving. That was never my point.
And same with Mocha. Like I said, same with Mocha.
I actually think Emma has been strong throughout the competition because I never had those issues with the first 2 rounds. But I agree that the later half of the competition has really been her shining moments. And Emma was actually my top performance in the group round, so that's interesting, Mark. But I guess it's kind of moot at this point because it didn't really affect anything. So let's just say congratulations, Emma. And who wants to do the outro?
Well, what are we going to do about second? Does it really matter?
We know Maeve is the second place.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we all have a majority vote for each position. Yeah, I really don't agree with that, but this discussion has gone on for like an hour now, so...
Okay, should I do the outro?
Yes, let's do an outro.
All right, do you want me to do it?
Yeah, for once you can do it.
Okay. Da-da-da-da! Emma, congratulations! There can be only one, just like the Highlander, and that is Emma. Emma, once again, congratulations. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.